Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. Okay. It's your host of the biggest nose, Jay-Z Courtside, coming at y'all today on Monday, March 30th. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I was just making some jokes with my Twitch chat before we started today's podcast episode. Good to see everybody. I hope everybody had a phenomenal weekend. I hope your guys' basketball team won over the weekend. Not many did. We don't have that many winners of the weekend. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, it's good to have y'all. It's good to see y'all. You already know today we're going to be doing winners and losers of the NBA weekend. And you know why we're doing it? It's because I didn't have to change any of the lower thirds. None of them. I got the same losers I had last week. And not the same winners that I did. There's not that many winners to pick. Not that many NBA teams had a good weekend. Honestly, none of them you can really call winners except for one team, right? And you all know the team I'm referring to. So, guys, today we're going to do something a little bit different, right? We're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to be starting with the losers. And you know, I don't like doing that. We've only done that one time this season. Once. We have started with the losers one time. One. But today, it's a special day. We got to talk about the losers at the start. And you guys know this doesn't change how I view the NBA. This doesn't change my opinion on the NBA. I love the NBA. I love basketball. And I'm one to say that any basketball is good basketball. Even bad basketball is good basketball to me. I love the sport of basketball. I do. Like, who doesn't love balls bounce? Okay. Let's just get this show started. Podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. TikTok, be sure to drop some likes, some follows, do all that. You guys know we do these live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. And then Twitch chat, you guys know, you already know you guys got the easiest job in the whole entire world. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, an energy drink, whatever you guys like drinking, and enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, it was very hard to pick who deserved the number one loser of the weekend. It was very hard. Not really, but it was hard because both of these top two losers are major losers. Let's just group up the entire Southeast division, but let's start. And you know, I hate doing this. I do not like starting with the losers of the weekend. I like being positive. You guys know it's positive Jay-Z. I'm a nice guy, you know, so my number one loser is the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic are my number one loser of the weekend. Let me brief you up in case you guys have missed what's been going on. The Orlando Magic, in case you don't know, they went on, I believe, a 6-game winning streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They went on a 7-game winning streak. And they follow that winning streak up by losing 7 out of their last 8 games. That's not funny. I'm not laughing at them. I'm laughing about a joke I heard the other day. The Orlando Magic have lost 7 out of their last 8 games. And last night was I'm not exaggerating when I say this, the most historic ass-kicking in the entire NBA history. For the first time ever, ladies and gentlemen, a team went on a 31-0 run. The Toronto Raptors scored 31 straight points. 31 straight points with not a single point scored during that run against them. 31. They went on a 31-0 run against the Orlando Magic. Like, let me just show y'all some stats from the Orlando Magic yesterday. Tristan da Silva, if he's your best player of the night, you're in for a rude awakening. Desmond Bane had 17. Tristan da Silva had 12. Paolo Banchero, $250 million, I think. 3 for 14. He had 5 turnovers. 0 for 5 from deep. Now, I would like to show everybody something. When Paolo has a off game, which happens a lot, when he has a bad game, it's usually covered up by the amount of free throws he gets. And you guys can attest to this. And no, I don't want to hear anything about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't want to hear anything about Luka Doncic. I don't want to hear anything about any of the foul baiters around the NBA, okay? Because even when Shai gets 12 free throws, he's got 40 points. Take his free throws away, he's got 28. When Paolo has a bad game, it's typically covered up by the amount of free throws he had, right? So last night he had 9 points and he only had 4 free throws. 4. And I can show y'all just one quick example without even working hard by like proving my point here. The Orlando Magic against the Pistons a few weeks ago, Paolo Banchero had 24 points, but he had 16 free throws. He had 24 points, but he had 16 free throws. So my point being is, yes, Paolo's been incredible post All-Star break. He's been incredible since post All-Star break. But when he's having a bad game, you just got to turn the TV off. Watch a different game. Watch a different sport. Hell, watch YouTube, bro, because it's bad. Now, I would like to point out something, and his name, oh God, I feel bad for doing this because I was just campaigning that he deserves some minutes. But I got to show this to y'all. Jamal Cain with the worst stat line in the entire NBA season. Honestly, one of the worst I've ever seen in my entire life. He played 8 minutes. In those 8 minutes, he was a minus 32 on the court. This, I didn't think anybody could truly top Karis LeVert as far as being a huge negative on a team. This might have done it. He played 8 minutes. He was a minus 32 on the court. His one stat was 1 rebound. It gets worse. He shot 0 for 3 and committed 6 turn. I need you guys to look at this. He played 8 minutes, minus 32, and he had 6 turnovers. I truly didn't believe that a player could have a worse stat line than Karis LeVert. Somebody in the TikTok, it's rarely rare when I enjoy a comment in the TikTok, but somebody said, at least he had fun, bro. At least, I don't think he had fun. I don't think he had fun. Blaze is your name, Blaze. Be sure to come through to the Twitch stream, man. I need you in here. I need you in the Twitch, bro. There's no way. There's no way, man. There's no way. 8 minutes, he was a minus 32 and he committed 6 turnovers. And I feel bad because Jamal Cain, like I said, he only played 8 minutes, right? But like Javon Carter here, he's also a minus 32, but he played 25 minutes. You know what I mean? Jamal Cain, the fact that he played 8 minutes and was a minus 32 is ridiculous. Now, you guys might be wondering, Jay-Z, what did the Raptors do so well? Well, the Raptors really didn't do anything crazy. Their defense is good. We all know this. Can y'all just look at the turnovers for the Orlando Magic? That's not a joke, bro. Look at the turnovers for the Orlando Magic. They had 28. 28 turnovers in a NBA game. 28 turnovers in an NBA game. And one guy on the team, Jamal Cain, had 6 turnovers in 8 minutes. That's almost a turnover per minute, chat. That's almost a turnover per minute. Fast break points, the Raptors scored 40 points 40 points on fast. 40 points on fast break. I've never seen something like that before. If you guys have, I'm very curious. What are the most fast break points in a game? I've never seen 40 fast break points. So yeah, when your team is committing 28 turnovers and you're expecting anything different, I truly, it doesn't surprise me. And when you look at the Orlando Magic as a whole, let's just look at their season as a whole, ladies and gentlemen. I've talked too much about this team. I've talked way too much about this team. And you know what? I think I got to talk a little bit more about them. There is no reason, absolutely no reason, both Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner are on the same team next season. There's no reason for it. There's no reason. It's not going to work. One of them is going to get injured. I can't watch this anymore. And now somebody's going to tell me, of course, bro, Franz has been out all year. Dude, okay, you proved my point. You gave a guy who's out all year $230 million. I just need to, there's only one more team in the NBA that I think are in a worse spot than the Orlando Magic. It's funny enough, they're in the same state, and we'll talk about them next. Don't worry. It's just unbelievable when you truly look at this team. I don't know how Jamal Mosley still has a job. That's one thing. I don't know how he still has a job. Because you would think after these bad losses, after losing 7 out of your last 8 games, they might pull a Denver Nuggets from last year. Do you guys remember when they fired, was it Mike Malone? They fired Mike Malone with like a week left in the NBA. And then they brought that guy off of Mad Magazine to be their head coach. So I'm expecting, but I don't know. Because it seems like Jamal Mosley can fucking run over a fan in front of the arena and still have his job. I don't know. So I love this question asked right now by Lambie in my Twitch stream. I love this question. TikTok, if you guys want to ask some questions on your teams or these teams, be sure to come through to the Twitch stream. The link is in my bio, Jay-Z Uncut. He said, who do you choose between Franz and Paolo? I feel like they're the same. Now, I would choose Paolo. Paolo needs to learn how to play basketball without the ball in his hands. I would personally choose Paolo because he has been healthier than Franz Wagner. My point being is you've tied yourselves. Okay, I hate bringing this graph up, but I guess I'll do it again. We always bring this graph up. The Orlando Magic next year have the 3rd highest salary in the entire NBA, $215 million. $250 million. There's only one team that has a higher contract than that this season, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. So the Cleveland Cavaliers right now are in win now mode. They need to win. The Orlando Magic have throttled themselves into win now mode, and suddenly, chat, I think we're all starting to realize, hey, I knew it, that they are not a win now roster. This roster is not constructed well whatsoever. They don't have a good starting center. They don't have a facilitator and primary ball handler, and Paolo Banchero can't play off ball. Now, I don't like the argument saying Franz is way better than Paolo. I don't like that, but I will agree. I called this at the very beginning of the season. I said, and I quote, you need to move one or the other because you just suddenly shrunk your window to this. Your window last year was this big, and then you traded 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane, and I do have to give credit where credit is due. Desmond Bane has been doing Desmond Bane things all year. He started a little slow, but Desmond Bane was playing incredibly well. He's doing what they paid for, right? The issue is how much you paid for Desmond Bane. Getting Desmond Bane was a smart decision, but what you paid for Desmond Bane completely flooded the market, and now you see that nobody wants to trade first-round picks. Now, my question for you, chat, is who would you want more on your basketball team? Franz or Paolo? Me, I would rather have Franz. Franz would be good for my team, but you can expect more potential out of Paolo. The issue is Paolo doesn't have the pieces around him, and he doesn't know how to play without the ball. That's the issue. He needs the ball in his hand. Blue Chi, thank you for the follow on Twitch, bro. I appreciate you a lot. His first comment when he came from the TikTok to the Twitch was the Grizzlies fleeced the Magic. They can't even rebuild anymore. I fully agree. And the issue with all of this is the fact that you have to take Paolo's contract by taking Paolo. And that's the biggest problem, ladies and gentlemen. That's the biggest issue here. Nobody wants that contract for a guy that needs the ball. Now, how can this team be fixed? You need to trade one or the other, and I fear that they're not going to. They don't want to be the team that trades Franz or trades Paolo, and then they thrive in a different environment. They thrive when they're finally fully healthy. They thrive with a better team structure around them. You know? They don't want to be that team. And that's why next season, my prediction, and I've been predicting this all year long, is that they are going to play the season out, next season out, and they are going to make a move by the deadline if they're, again, living under expectations. That's what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen. If they are playing this poorly like they are this year now, then I expect one of them, probably Franz, to be moved by the deadline. Next deadline. That's what's going to happen. They're not going to play it off into the next summer. And now the East is even better. You have the Pistons, who are going to get better. You have the Celtics, who are going to get better. You have the Pacers, who are going to get better. You have the Hornets that are going to get better. You have the Raptors, who are theoretically going to get better. You have the 76ers, who are going to get better. You have all of these teams that are going to get better, right? And now here you are the Hawks are going to be better. I feel bad for not saying the Hawks. You are going to look at your roster and say, we can't compete. The Wizards are also going to be better. Exactly. The Wizards, there's going to be a lot much better teams out east, and now you're stuck, and look at where you're at right now. Look at where you're at right now. It's depressing. Now, I love this question from Pitt in the Twitch stream. This is why I recommend you guys come into the Twitch stream. Jay-Z Uncut. The link is in my bio. Do you think a team could build around Paolo and hide his flaws like the Mavericks did with Luka? Did the Mavericks really hide it with Luka well enough to get exposed in the finals? Yes, I believe they can. Paolo's still incredibly young. Paolo has his weak points, yes. Paolo, but he knows what he's good at. All you need Paolo to do is be healthy and buy into the system. Nobody's buying into Jamal Mosley's system. Nobody on this team is playing for their head coach. And that's the unfortunate reality of being an Orlando Magic fan right now. So this is what we're looking at, everybody. The Orlando Magic are incredibly disappointing. They've been disappointing all year long. And I said it from day one. I know none of you guys were here day one because this is my first season ever doing podcasting. But if you guys can look back at my prediction podcast from last summer, I said, and I quote, give me the under on the Orlando Magic. I do not see them leaping the Pistons. I don't see them leaping the Cavs. I don't see them leaping any team in the East that was in the playoffs last year. That's what I said. And now here I am. I'm not celebrating at their failure. I am celebrating the fact that I was right. Their contracts, and I gotta show y'all this, man, because it's bad. They have the third highest salary next year, and I need to show you guys their contracts. Franz Wagner's making $42 million next season. Desmond Bane's making $40 million next season. Paolo Banchero's making $41 million next season. Jalen Suggs is making $32.5 million next season. Bro, Jonathan Isaac, who has played like 10 games since 2020, is making $14.5 million. Their starting center, who's a backup center in all actuality, is making $18 million. You have the third highest salary in the NBA next year. And you're a play-in team this year? You have no draft picks. You have no insight on the future because everybody's hurt. And you built a bad roster. The Orlando Magic are my number one loser of the weekend, y'all. They're my number one loser of the weekend. Taha Cloud, thank you for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate you very, very much. In case you guys don't know, if you watch 3 Twitch streams in a row, I will gift you a $5 subscription so you no longer get ads. So now's the perfect time to swing on into the Twitch stream, ladies and gentlemen. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. Shout out to Taha and Blue. I appreciate you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been beating on the Magic all season. I'm tired of it. Let's go ahead and move on to our second loser of the NBA weekend. And they share the same state. It's the Miami Heat, ladies and gentlemen. The Miami Heat are my second loser of the weekend. So in case you guys couldn't tell, last Monday, they were both the top 2 losers as well. They were both the top 2 losers in a row. And they are again this time. The Miami Heat lost by 17 points against the Indiana Pacers. The second time this season they've lost by 20 against the Indiana Pacers. The second. Last time they played the Pacers, they got smoked by 20 as well. Now, chat, I'm going to say something, and I want every single person who's watching to remember this. You can take my idea and give it to all of your friends, okay? When I was a child, I grew up believing in a man named Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond. Some of you now know him as a 76ers backup center who can shoot threes now, who's arguably one of the best rebounders in modern day basketball. I remember him being the man with empty stats. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is I've never seen a player quite like Andre Drummond that can put up 30 points and 20 rebounds and have no impact on the game whatsoever. And I knew this. I observed this when, how old was I when we drafted him? Maybe 13. I noticed this when I was 13 years old. I said, wow, Andre Drummond had 30 points and 25 rebounds. And we lost by 30. I remember this like it was yesterday. There was no benefit to him having a good stat line because it just meant nothing. And I thought Andre Drummond would be like the number one guy I think of when I hear empty stats. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I think I found my new Andre Drummond, and that's Tyler Hero. It happens so often. Heat fans, I want you to listen to me real quick. Tyler Hero last night, and he's done this multiple times this season, 31 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Efficient night. You guys lost by 20 against the Indiana Pacers, the worst team in the NBA, the absolute worst team in the NBA, and they dropped 135 on you. Tyler Hero is my new Andre Drummond. 30 points mean nothing. If Tyler Hero is dropping 30, just understand that they probably lost that game. And I didn't think that I would find another player like Andre Drummond as far as empty stats go, leading to losses. Yet here we are with Tyler Hero. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I saw a very interesting tweet. And, I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Actually, no, I talked about this last week. But I had to share this tweet with y'all. This guy named Heat Nation Zach went ahead and tweeted, the Miami Heat are in the worst spot you could be in as an NBA franchise. And that had me thinking. Let me think of the worst teams right now. Why they're bad, why they're ass, what their future looks like. And by golly, the only team I could think of was the Chicago Bulls, but the Chicago Bulls just started their actual rebuild this season, so it can't be them. They were stuck in mediocrity this whole time, and now it can't be them. So then I started looking around. I started thinking Sacramento Kings. No, the Sacramento Kings have contracts that are worth trading. They have guys that people would like. Then I started thinking of the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee Bucks can trade Giannis. That's great. And then I started thinking about more teams, chat. The Clippers. They can trade Kawhi any day of the week. And then I started thinking about more teams and more teams and more teams. Started thinking about the Brooklyn Nets. They got the youngest team in NBA history right now. They're not the worst. They got the youngest team in NBA history. So then I was looking at the absolute worst. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, let's just go ahead and look at the standings real quick, and we can look at the bottom teams. The Pacers have Hallie coming back. They have Zubats. They have Pascal Siakam. The Wizards, they got Trae Young and Anthony Davis coming in, and a bunch of young guys around them. The Nets have the youngest team in the NBA right now, NBA history, actually. Chicago Bulls have a bunch of young guys, and they're, they have picks, and they you can look at their future and realize at least they started the rebuild now. Then the Bucks, like I said, they can trade Giannis, the Hornets, and then you start moving and you start looking everywhere, and it's like, oh my God, the Miami Heat are in the worst case imaginable. The Kings, they got a lot of guys that a lot of teams could use. They just haven't traded them. The Jazz, they got Jaren Jackson Jr., Laurie Markkinen. They got so many good young guys. Kyle Filipowski, Ace Bailey, Keontae George. You got the Mavericks. They have Cooper Flag and Kyrie. They got the Pelicans. Well, the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans are the only ones you could argue have a worse spot right now to be in the NBA. It's the Miami Heat or it's the New Orleans Pelicans. That is not a conversation that you want to be in. And you know why I'm not saying it is the Pelicans? Yes, they traded their pick. But at least they have Trey Murphy that can get them some stuff. They have Herb Jones that can get some stuff. They got Zion that can get you a couple crumbs. They got DJM who can get you some stuff. They got a lot of guys. And they have Jeremiah Fears. They have Derek Queen. They got a lot of guys that they can trade and get some good stuff. So I wouldn't say the Pelicans are in the worst position. I'd say the Miami Heat are. And now you guys are probably asking me, Jay-Z, I just don't agree. Why do you think they're in the worst? Let me show y'all. But before I do, Otachi and Not 20. Thank you guys so much for the follows on Twitch. I appreciate y'all so very much. Remember, guys, if you watch 3 Twitch streams in a row, I will gift you a $5 subscription so you no longer get ads. Let me show you guys why I believe the Miami Heat, and hopefully this convinces you as well, why I believe the Miami Heat are going to be, they're in the worst spot imaginable. Let me show you some stuff. So, Bam Adebayo next season is making $52 million. He's making $52 million. Tyler Hero is making $33 million. Andrew Wiggins has a player option, which he's definitely picking up. He has $30 million. 30. Davion Mitchell's making $12.5 million. See, now people in the TikTok are saying, holy fuck. And now you guys in the Twitch are saying, good golly. He's making what? Let's continue. Nikola Jovic, ladies and gentlemen. Nikola Jovic. I need you to see this. Nikola Jovic this season is averaging 7.4 points, shooting 36% from the field and 27% from three. He is playing worse than the worst player I've ever seen in a basketball uniform named Karis LeVert. He is playing worse than Karis LeVert. He's making $16.2 million, ladies and gentlemen. Khalil Ware's got the best contract in here, less than $5 million. Jaime Jaquez, $6 million. So when you look at this team, you will have, and I got to quote this, you have $132 million tied to Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Andrew Wiggins, and Nikola Jovic. $132 million tied to your top four guys, ladies and gentlemen. $132 million. So you guys want to ask me, Jay-Z, who's in the worst position in the NBA? At the start of the year, it was the Bulls. The Bulls at least they did it. Even though it was late, even though they could have got like 30 first-round picks for all their guys 2 years ago, at least you're not the Miami Heat. People want to see the Kings because people think that the Kings might be in the worst position. I assure you, the Kings are not in that position. They're bad. They're top 10 in salary, and next year they'll be top 10 in salary again. But the thing is, they have guys that are worth trading for because Zach LaVine's got his player option next year for $50 million. Domantas Sabonis is at $45 million. DeMar DeRozan's making $26 million. DeAndre Hunter's making $25 million. You know what? Maybe I got to change my mind. Holy mother of God. Okay, it's still. I believe they're going to be trading DeMontis. I believe they're going to be trading Zach LaVine because he's a player option. Yeah, DeMar, that contract sucks. DeAndre Hunter, $25 million. Yeah, that contract sucks. Malik Monk, $20 million. Honestly, he's a $20 million player. If you watch Malik Monk, he's a $20 million player. Keegan Murray, yeah, $24 million, and he's disappeared this year, so that sucks. But yeah, Kings are rough. Kings are bad. But at least you're not the Miami Heat, who are paying Bam Adebayo $52 million. And yeah, Nikola Jovic, 16.5. So I haven't even talked about the game itself last night, and I don't think I even have to. I think everything we've shared today regarding the Miami Heat can show you why I believe they are in the worst position in the NBA right now. It's just not good. It's not good. Yeah, man, they got killed by the Pacers. Shout out Pacers. They shouldn't have won. I know. Can I also just say something? And I don't know if this makes me a casual, chat. I don't know if this makes me a casual. Okay, because I know I'm not a casual. I am an NBA sicko. I watch the most NBA out of anybody in this chat. I watch the most NBA than any of you guys watching, right? So I just have to say, I've never heard. This is who they lost to. I've never heard of Jalen Slauson. Never heard of him. Never. Jalen Slauson as the starting point guard of the Indiana Pacers. Jalen Slauson. I've never heard of Ethan Thompson starting for the Indiana. I have never heard of these two guys. And this is what the beauty is in Mickey Mouse March. This is what the beauty is. You see names that you've never heard before. I've never heard of Ethan Thompson and Jalen Slauson. Never. So when I look at this team and I see the Miami Heat lost to Jalen Slauson, who's averaging 5.5 points, 34% shooting from the field and 30% from the three. And then I see they're losing to a guy named Ethan Thompson, who's shooting 36% from the field and 31% from three, averaging 5 points a game. My whole point being is this is who they lost to. This is who they lost to. So, Heat fans, enjoy the rest of the season. Enjoy the rest of your season. I see a great comment from Blue Key. Sorry, let me correct this. He said, didn't the Pacers trade their first round pick this year? They only lose their pick if they fall to 5 through, I believe, 9. So if they keep their pick between 1 to 4 and 10 and beyond, they keep their first round pick and they keep Zubac, which is great. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to move on from my Florida teams, man. I got to move on. I've bullied them enough. Gotcha. Blue. Okay, Blue. I'm going to just call you Blue. I appreciate you being here. Be sure to join the Discord as well. And TikTok chat. Make sure you guys swing on into the Twitch stream, all right? You guys got to get in here before this podcast is over. Y'all got to get in here, y'all. Y'all got to get in here. Guys, let's move on to my second to last loser of the weekend. And none of my Hornets fans are in here right now, so I feel more comfortable doing this. It's not because they're a genuine loser that they are a loser of the weekend. It's more so that they squandered this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't think that I would call them a loser of the weekend after everything they've been doing this season. But when you look at the opportunity that they've squandered, I sort of have to have them here as my third loser of the weekend. They lost to the Philadelphia 76ers on Saturday, and they lost to the Boston Celtics on Sunday. They lost back-to-back games against a mediocre team and a good team. And the good team is okay to lose to. But you've squandered your opportunity here, ladies and gentlemen. So when you look at the standings right now and you see the Charlotte Hornets, had they won these games when both the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic just lost, when you see that, they would have leapt them by 2 games. They right now would be the 7th seed. They would be the 7th seed right now. And instead, this is their circumstance. This is their circumstance. They would be 1 game out of the playoffs right now had they won. Had they won those games, they'd be 1 game out of the playoffs, a guaranteed spot. So they've definitely squandered their opportunity here. Now, I had to look something up as well. I wanted to look at the Charlotte Hornets record against winning teams because they just lost to the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics, who are winning teams. And this sort of surprised me. The Charlotte Hornets are 39-36 this season against 500 teams, which is not good. But I'm curious as to what it is in 2026. I'm sure it's much better just in 2026. I know they're above 500 there, and I know it's significantly above 500 there. But overall, I got to give the Charlotte Hornets my third loser of the weekend. Not good games over the weekend for the Charlotte Hornets. You know, they have been incredible. They've been incredible all of 2026, not 2025. But losing to the Boston Celtics magnet ball, it happens to the best of us. Yeah, the Charlotte Hornets 3 wasn't falling and they lose. They lose bad. And this is what happens with the Charlotte Hornets. If they shoot poorly, they're guaranteed to lose. I have not seen the Charlotte Hornets it's been a while, actually. It's been a while. They had a bad game, I forget against 2 last month, and they still won. But I think it was a bad team. If they shoot poorly, they're going to lose the game. They're going to. And even when they shoot well, there's still a chance that they can lose if the other team played better defense. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I see a comment saying Philly are 100% for the first time and nobody's talking about them. And while I hear you, yes, they are healthy right now. At this very moment, they are. And they are a great team when healthy. If that's what you need for me to say about the Philadelphia 76ers, then enjoy what I just said. They are an incredible team when healthy. They are. I will never sleep on Philadelphia when they're healthy. The question is, when are they healthy? That's the main question here. My Philly fans know I'm a big 76ers fan. I have my Iverson jersey right behind me. When they're healthy, they're a great team. The issue is you can't really count on it. Okay. I want to move on to my final loser of the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm going to pop it on the screen, and I want you to look at it. My final loser of the weekend is us. Now, I don't mean this like I did last week where I said you're a loser, you know, not like that. I mean, us fans are the losers of the weekend. Now, let me explain. At the start of the season, before every team started tanking, I loved tuning in to the Pelicans-Nets games. I loved it. I loved tuning in. Bro, I was watching so many Utah Jazz games this season. Like, you would think I was a Utah fan. I was watching so much from the Pelicans, so much from the Jazz, so much from the Nets, from the I was watching so much NBA, it's ridiculous. You know why? Because for the first month, even 2 months for most of these teams, they were playing competitive basketball. And now, ladies and gentlemen, there have been 81 games this season decided by 30 or more points. A new NBA single season record topping the mark of 80 last season. That's right. There's been 81 games this NBA regular season decided by 30 or more points. And last year we had 80 of those games that were decided by 30 plus. And I was scared that this would happen. I was worried that this would happen because at the start of the season, bro, I was so tapped in to Jazz Pelicans. I was so locked in to Pels Nets. I was laser focused on Kings Pacers. But once tanking starts, it's hard to enjoy most nights of NBA basketball. And now that we're in March, we are all in understanding here. It's Mickey Mouse March. This is what's going to happen. It is Mickey Mouse March. Teams have given up and they're rolling out G League players and two-way players. And that's why we're seeing these guys and saying, who? When we're looking at the Pacers lineup. So my point being, we're the losers because at the start of the season, bro, I was enjoying all of this NBA basketball, all of it. And now it's like the only entertaining games are the teams that are in the playoff hunt or in the actual playoff picture. Because all the other teams other than like the 11 tanking teams right now, they're getting blown out by 30 plus. And that's the unfortunate reality. We are the loser of the weekend. I barely watched NBA this weekend. I barely watched it. I watched like the big games. It was supposed to be Magic and their biggest game of the season. It was supposed to be the Heat in a blowout the other way. It was supposed to be the Hornets. And yet all of these games were blowouts. Kenny asked, Jay-Z, do you believe that a possible lottery pick tournament after the season's over could fix tanking? No. No. No more tournaments, bro. No more. I don't want them. TikTok, before we move on to our winners of the weekend, because we've been diving deep into these losers, be sure, if you guys have any questions or you guys want to talk with me or you guys just want to hang out with my community, be sure to join the Twitch stream, the link in my bio, Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. And if you guys can do me a huge favor, Blue and everybody else that just came to the Twitch, exclamation point Discord in the Twitch chat, and be sure to join the Discord. That's where we all hang out and talk after the stream, after the podcast, after all this. That's where we talk during NBA games. Be sure to come through to the Twitch stream. Bryce, I appreciate you following on the TikTok, but be sure to come through to the Twitch. Remember, guys, if you just watch 3 Twitch streams in a row, I will reach into my pocket and gift you a $5 subscription so you no longer get ads. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time we move on to our winners of the weekend. And my number one winner of the weekend is none other than the Beantown Boys, the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are my number one winner of the weekend. And I gotta acknowledge a couple of these comments. Sonny came into the Twitch stream and said, it's a business at the end of the day, and that sucks for viewing experience. That's why we're the losers right now, Sonny. I appreciate the follow on Twitch, bro. Welcome. Otachi's first comment coming into the Twitch said, who do you think deserves to be the MVP? That's a great question, Otachi. That's a great question. We can talk about that after the podcast if you'd like. It's just not pertaining to our exact topic right now. Yeah, I normally have to just keep it as far as the show goes. So if you guys do participate on this topic, then of course I can respond and read to your comments. We've talked about that a lot. Be sure, guys, to join the Discord as well to get involved in my actual community's conversation. We always hang out and talk in the Discord after the stream as well. But yeah, I appreciate everybody for tuning in from the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch stream. I appreciate y'all a lot, man. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics, the Beantown Boys. Now, my Celtics fans in here, I don't think Papo's in here, who's my number one Celtics fan in here, but I think y'all all know that I am an honorary Beantown boy, and I think you guys can all vouch for me when I say that. I've been rooting for the Celtics all year long, even though their play of basketball infuriates me in many ways. I do recognize greatness, and I do love storylines, and they have one of the best storylines in the NBA right now. In fact, I got to get me a jersey. I don't know whose jersey I want, but I got to get a jersey for the Boston Celtics. Listen, man, what they're doing, what they've done, it's incredible. This weekend was a major weekend for the Boston Celtics, and that's why I have them as my winner of the weekend. They beat the scorching hot Atlanta Hawks by 7 without a lot of their guys. This was without, obviously, Vucevic, but they were sitting Jaylen Brown out due to his Achilles strain or Achilles tendonitis. So, yeah, they're missing a couple guys. And, yeah, Nemish Queso demolished them. 11 rebounds plus 5, 2 for 2 on the floor. And then, yeah, of course, you have PP going for 36 off the bench against the Atlanta Hawks. And Jason Tatum is back. He's back. He's back. And then when you look at the Celtics as well from last night, Jason Tatum, 32 points. Efficient shooting, 32 points. He's back. Neemias Queta, my boy Queso, dropping 17 points, 8 rebounds, 3 of them offensive, shooting 8 for 13 against the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets are too little, man. This is why I will never take it serious when Hornets fans tell me that they can beat the Pistons in a first-round series with or without Cade. They can't. If they don't have an answer for Neemias Queso, my boy Queso, who I love, what are you expecting to do against Jalen Duren, who is the strongest man in the NBA right now? What do you plan on doing if you can't handle Queso? With all due respect, Moussa Diabate can't hold these guys. Ryan Kalkbrenner can't hold these guys. And shout out to PP, 28 points as a starter, and then Baylor coming in with 14 off the bench. The Boston Celtics are a filthy team, ladies and gentlemen. They are a filthy, nasty, disgusting basketball team. They beat the Thunder, they beat the Hawks, they beat the Hornets over the last 3 games. They're playing incredibly well. Yeah, Jason Tatum also had 12 rebounds against the Hawks. They were just feasting on them without having big men. The Boston Celtics are nasty, man. And I've been talking about this team for a long, long time this season. So I don't have much else I can truly say about it. They also did clinch their playoff appearance, which is 12 consecutive playoff appearances. That's insane as well. Listen, man, the Boston Celtics are great. And I guess all I'm hoping for right now is for the New York Knicks to get passed up by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that the Pistons, if they make it to the second round, which they should, can play the New York Knicks in the second round instead of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I think that fits both teams well. I think that fits both teams very well. Yeah. Listen, man, the Boston Celtics are balling. They're playing really, really well. I think the most important thing to talk about for the Boston Celtics is their team cohesion, which a lot of teams don't have. It's incredible. It's incredible. Watching this team play basketball, yes, it's frustrating watching them jack up a million threes. But aside from that, when you see a Charlotte Hornets team do what the Boston Celtics have perfected in just spamming threes, and yet they still can't do it even remotely close to the Boston Celtics, it's a thing of beauty, and it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny as well, because nobody's going to spam the threes that the Boston Celtics do and do it quite like them. And that's not just what they do, bro. They have a consistent defense. They're top 5 in almost every advanced metric in the NBA. Their defense is prolific. Their offense is prolific. Their net rating, it's crazy. It's crazy how good this team is. I think there's only one team, maybe 2 teams in the East that I could see beating them, and that's the Pistons and that's the Knicks. Now, that's, of course, both teams fully healthy. I don't know, man. I don't know. If the Boston Celtics can somehow have this bracket break right, if they can have somebody else beat the Pistons for them, I think they have a free path to the finals. I genuinely believe that. Joe Mazzulla's an animal. I think I would run through a wall for Joe Mazzulla. It was brought to my attention that Jordan Walsh, after 6 DNPs, goes off and plays 34 minutes against the Charlotte Hornets, and then 27 minutes the night before, or the game before, against the Atlanta Hawks. So all in all, man, the Boston Celtics are terrifying. You really can't bet against them with how well they're playing. Hopefully they can get Jaylen Brown back. I know this Achilles tendonitis is very scary, but hopefully they can hopefully they can stay healthy, because I wouldn't want a team to beat them and then to say, well, you beat them when they weren't healthy. But of course, that's a part of the playoffs. I think we're all in clear understanding of that with that as well. People are hurt into the playoffs. People are tired into the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. I think in their run, when they won, I think they beat nothing but injured teams, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really remember. But anywho, they're my number 1 winner of the weekend, man. The Boston Celtics are them. They're incredibly talented. And I think genuinely all my Celtics fans recognize me as an honorary Beantown boy. This is a gap year, bro. This was supposed to be a gap year. And here we are talking about them as far as being favorites to come out of the East. Shout out Joe Mazzulla. Shout out Jaylen Brown. Shout out PP for coming off the bench and acknowledging his true role in the NBA. Shout out to Jason Tatum for not rushing, apparently, and coming back and being incredible. Shout out to Derek White. He can be Derek White again. Shout out to Queso being one of the best starting centers in the NBA as far as value goes. I can keep going. I can keep going. I can keep on going, guys. I can keep on going. I said at the beginning of the year that 2 players are going to have tremendous leaps next season. I said it going into the season, a month before the season started. I said Jaylen Brown and Andrew Nembhard. Now, I'm proud to say that Nembhard, he is better, but he didn't have the leap that I was expecting. And by God, was I right about Jaylen Brown. I'm happy. I mean, he still can't dribble that well with his left hand, but I called it. I didn't think that he would level up to 29 points per game, but I called it. And I think I'm really happy to see that. Now, chat, I do have to say, over the weekend, there weren't that many winners of the weekends. You guys can go look at the NBA schedule. It's because of March Madness. There weren't that many good NBA games over the weekend. Most of the good teams were playing bad teams, and most teams didn't have 2 games, right? You can look at a lot of the teams. The Spurs played a bad team. I think it was the Pelicans, no offense, Liam. The Thunder played a bad team. The Bulls in their first game over the weekend. Every good team played a bad team. So unfortunately, I gotta pick. The Lakers play bad teams. I gotta pick the Detroit Pistons. My apologies, guys. I have to. Listen, there was literally no good games over the weekend other than last night. And we will be talking about that, of course. But I got to pick the Detroit Pistons as my second winner of the weekend. They only had 1 game over the weekend. But it was a pretty big game as well. They played the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, the Minnesota Timberwolves were without Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels and Ayo Dosunmu. But the Pistons were also without Cade Cunningham and Isaiah Stewart. So the Pistons played well. The Pistons played very, very well. I guess people right now are upset by me not picking the Raptors. Let me quickly look at the Raptors. They beat the Pelicans and they beat the Magic. I'm looking at 2 non-playoff teams. So I don't think the Raptors were robbed. I gave them credit where credit is due and they smacked Orlando, but the Orlando Magic are horrible and the New Orleans Pelicans are horrible. So my apologies. The New Orleans Pelicans, I jinxed them. I jinxed the Pelicans because I said that they're the 4th hottest team post All-Star break. I said it. I said they were the 4th hottest teams post All-Star break. And now the Pelicans have lost like 5 games straight. It's unfortunate. I said they were the 4th hottest team post All-Star break, and now they've lost 5 straight. So it's unfortunate. It sucks. But I talked about the Raptors enough earlier to the point where I think they were already a defaulted winner of the weekend by going on the longest run ever in NBA history. I already talked about that. But yeah, man, the Pistons are doing it right now without Cade Cunningham, without Isaiah Stewart. They beat the Pelicans and they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. And not just beat the Timberwolves and not just beat the New Orleans Pelicans. They blew out the Pelicans by 21, and then they blew out the Minnesota Timberwolves by 22 without Cade Cunningham, without Isaiah Stewart. I said that the Pistons were not going to win more than 5 games for the rest of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pistons right now, without Cade Cunningham, are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're 6-1 without Cade. They're 6-1 without Cade Cunningham. 6-1. So when you look at this and you see that, you gotta give credit where credit is due. Am I wrong? Like I think I'm right. Are they 7-1? Because I'm not counting that first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, they're 7-1. They are 7-1 without Cade Cunningham because he left 5 minutes into that. They're 7-1. The official number is 7-1 without Cade Cunningham. Now, most of these teams, we can look at them. The Minnesota Timberwolves, playoff team, but missing Ayo, Ant, and Jaden McDaniels. Pelicans, not a playoff team. The Atlanta Hawks, playoff team, they lost. The Lakers, obviously top 3 in the West, smacked them. Golden State Warriors, killed them. Playing team, and then the Wizards. So, not that crazy of a schedule. But at the end of the day, what we say is you got to beat who's in front of you, right? And most of us weren't expecting them to win any of these games without Cade. Any of these games without Isaiah Stewart. So it's incredible. It really is nice. Now, tonight, the Pistons are losing. They are losing. If they somehow win tonight, I'll wear, they're not going to win. They're not going to win tonight. They play the Oklahoma City Thunder in Oklahoma tonight, and they are sitting out Jalen Duren, Tobias Harris, Duncan Robinson. Asar Thompson is questionable. The reason why he's going to play at least 20 minutes is because of he needs to play for the 65 games. They're missing Cade Cunningham and Isaiah Stewart. So they are missing 6 out of their top 7 guys. 6 out of their 7 guys. And it makes sense why they're sitting them out. They all have little injuries, tic-tac injuries, but they also play tomorrow in Detroit against the Timberwolves. You know? They play tomorrow. So they're basically just saying, yeah, we're going to lose in Oklahoma tonight. We may as well rest our guys that can afford a game. In case you guys don't know, the Pistons play 18 games in this month with, I believe, 3 or 4 back-to-backs. So they're gassed. 18 games in March with, I think, 4 back-to-backs. And they just so happen to have a back-to-back tonight and tomorrow. So they got to play in Oklahoma and then fly back to Detroit against Toronto. So it should be interesting. And, of course, I got to give a shout-out to Dennis Jenkins. You know what, guys? I got to be honest. Everyone who thought about the Pistons, I got to be honest with everybody. I think this Cade injury, his lung collapsing, might have been a blessing to this team. Might have been a blessing. Because we're seeing Kevin Huerter play real valuable minutes for the Detroit Pistons. He dropped 22 points against the Pelicans. And he dropped off the bench 11 against the Timberwolves. I think this was a blessing. I think this was low-key a blessing because now we are seeing guys like Dennis Jenkins step up. Kevin Huerter step up. Karis LeVert had a good game last game. I never thought I'd say that, but he had a good game. Jalen Duren. Bro, Jalen Duren is averaging 27 points and 14 rebounds since Cade's been out. 27 points and 14 rebounds in the last 8 games without Cade. That is ridiculous. Tobias Harris been stepping up. Asar Thompson's been stepping up. Everybody's been stepping up. It's crazy. It's truly unbelievable. So shout out the Pistons, man. Dennis Jenkins, everybody's stepping up. It's crazy. People are asking me, but what happens if Cade is out first round and they have to play Philly? I think it depends. I don't think this Pistons team can beat Philly healthy in a 7-game series without Cade. I think they can beat the Hornets without Cade. They have the defensive prowess to beat the Hornets without Cade, but I think we're all sort of understanding that Cade's going to be back before the playoffs. That's what I think we're all understanding as well. And also, I got to give another winner of the weekend to the Detroit Pistons for trading Jaden Ivey for Kevin Huerter. I think Kevin Huerter is going to get re-signed by the Pistons over the summer. I think he's going to get re-signed. He's been incredible for the Pistons, found money. I got to give them winner of the weekend as well for trading Jaden Ivey. I hate to say that, but I have to give them winner of the weekend for trading Jaden Ivey. There's a couple clips that are going viral in his 75-minute rant on Instagram. I'm going to just play them for everybody watching.
The Pistons not going to matter on Judgment Day.
So in case you guys don't know, Jaden Ivey has been going through a religious psychosis right now. Ever since he got hurt, Jaden Ivey he's completely changed. He got hurt and every interview turned into God. He got hurt and everything turned into God. Everything turned into God. He's on Instagram saying this.
The Pistons not going to matter on Judgment Day.
He said the Pistons are not going to matter on Judgment Day. Not just that, the comments on his Instagram right now are real sad. Somebody said, sending prayers, Detroit misses you. And he said, God does not hear your prayers if you are a sinner. Okay, that's a lie. That's a lie. Somebody said, do you go to confession? He said, Catholicism is a false religion and is not the true doctrine of Christ. It does not lead to salvation in Jesus Christ. Okay. I appreciate you speaking up for God because we need more of that in our society today, but I'm also concerned that you're casting a lot of judgment on others who don't align with your interpretation of the gospel, Matthew 7. And Jaden Ivey responded, you don't judge righteously because you yourself are not righteous. You clearly have a speck in your eye, so you can get a speck out of someone else's eye. Okay, and the next comment. We still love you, boy. Once you relearn to trust your body, God gave you the ability to be one of the greatest. Detroit versus everybody. And he said, are you born again? So after every loss the Pistons suffer this season, I will be quoting this.
The Pistons not going to matter on Judgment Day.
And I also will be quoting this.
The Pistons, what are the Pistons doing? No, how is your soul doing? Are you saved?
So, you guys know I'm not going to talk religion or anything on here, but from what I saw from Jaden Ivey last season, he got his leg broke from Cole Anthony on January 1st of last year. And right from then, it turned into God this, God that, God this. I love God. Can't get enough of God, right? But He stopped wearing Black Lives Matter shirts for Black History Month. He didn't wear them. He didn't wear them with the Pistons. He was the only guy not wearing the Black Lives Matter shirt for the Pistons. Bro, Duncan Robinson was wearing that shit. He also intentionally did not wear the Martin Luther King shirt. Everybody was wearing the Martin Luther King shirt. He wasn't wearing that. And he wasn't celebrating with the team. He wasn't celebrating with the team when he was on the Pistons. Every time the Pistons would go on a run or score and dunk or get a crazy block, Jaden Ivey was on the other end of the bench, not reacting to any of it, just sitting in silence. Just sitting in silence. So I'm afraid that Jaden Ivey might be done after this year. I'm sure the Kings would love Jaden Ivey, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid, and you know, I do also have to point out the God that he's talking about is not my God. Just so we're all clear, the God that he's talking about, that's not my God. That's not. I'm pretty confident God loves all if he is real, but yeah, I think Jaden Ivey's. I think he's done with basketball. I think he is. If somebody talks about him with basketball, he tells him something along the lines of, "Are you saved?" And they're not going to matter on Judgment Day. So Pistons are winner of the weekend for moving off of Jaden Ivey. It's unfortunate, man. It's really unfortunate. All right, guys. And now my final winner of the weekend. Like I said, there weren't many options to choose from, y'all. There weren't many. So I just went ahead and picked the New York Knicks. Or sorry. Nope. I went ahead and picked the Thunder, I guess. The Thunder, I guess. I don't know, man. There weren't any options. Everybody played bad teams. So I looked over the weekend and I saw that the best matchup, I was watching this last night, was the Knicks and Thunder. This was the best win of the weekend from any team in the NBA. This is the best win. And you know what? It was close all game long. It was close. It was back and forth. Anybody that watched this knows that it was back and forth. And then last 4 minutes of the game, Shea buried him. Last 4 minutes of the game, the Thunder just buried him. They buried him. And that's what happened. The Knicks, I mean, we can talk about them. Mikal Bridges finally scored 15 points. He finally scored 15 points. Finally. We've all been waiting for it, but he finally scored 15 points on the dot as well. On the dot as well. OG had a horrible game. 2 for 9. Karl-Anthony Towns had a great game. Guys, I think this was Karl-Anthony Towns' best game of the season. He had 15 points and 18 rebounds, 7 of them offensive. Yet through all of that, he was a -10. You know why? Knicks fans, what did Cat do poorly last night? And no, I'm not talking about Mike Brown taking him out when he went on that run. But what did he do poorly last night that he's been doing poorly all season long? What did Karl-Anthony Towns do poorly last night? Knicks fans, you guys know the answer. So I'll let y'all answer that real quick. Josh Hart, 15. Jalen Brunson had 32 points, but still a -13 on the court. Jordan Clarkson was horrible last night, 1 for 6. As soon as he got consistent minutes, 1 for 6. Mitchell Robinson, bad night on his standards. Jose Alvarado, horrible night as well, 3 for 10. Miles McBride, bad game. Andy got hurt, 0 for 3. He might be out for an extended period of time because I saw an interview saying that he couldn't walk. And Diarrhea also not playing. So yes, Karl-Anthony Towns not playing defense, exactly. So yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns had 15 points and 18 rebounds, but he was getting fried. I'm sure you guys were watching. He was getting fried. Chet Holmgren had 16, efficient night. Isaiah Hartenstein, efficient night. He had 13 rebounds, 5 of them offensive. Lou Dort had a great game, and I won't hear it by people saying that Lou Dort injured Deuce McBride. I think we're all clear that he didn't do that. They both dove for the ball, and they're saying that Dort landed on top of Deuce McBride. That's just not true. That did not happen. They both dove for the ball. J-Dub had an incredible game, 22 points, 7 for 11 from the field. This was J-Dub's best game since returning. And here's the thing. Oklahoma did not have a good game. Shea did not have a good game. He was 8 for 18 last night and still managed to drop 30 points because he had 16 free throw attempts. Now, I saw a lot of Knicks fans crying about the whistles. Listen, if you cannot defend, you're going to lose games like this and you're going to end up fouling. The Knicks can't defend. That's why their whole starting lineup is negative. They weren't playing defense. Bro, Mikal Bridges, -15. OG Anunoby, -17. Cat, -10. Hart, -12. Jalen Brunson, -13. If you're not going to play defense and you're just going to be fouling over and over and over again, yeah, Like, you're not playing defense. And then I got to show y'all the shot chart. Y'all got to look at the shot chart here. These are just makes. Throughout the entire game, these are just makes, okay? The New York Knicks, out of all of the misses from mid-range and three, that's why they lost too. If the predominant amount of your shots are from mid-range, which they are, and threes, and they're not falling, you're going to lose the game. So why did Oklahoma have so many more free throws than the New York Knicks? Knicks fans, let's be so real with ourselves. You guys were not driving to the hoop at all. I don't know how many of the Mikal Bridges fadeaways I saw last night. I don't know how many mid-ranges I saw from Jalen Brunson last night. I don't know how many bad shots I saw from the New York Knicks last night, but it was a lot. And the Thunder took so many down below. They took so many driving to the lane. So of course they got fouls. Now, did Shai Gilgeous-Alexander get a BS foul from three-point land? Yes. Have I seen that clip circulate from Knicks Twitter all night? Yeah, because they find one call that Shai didn't deserve, and they say we got robbed. You did not get robbed. Exactly what Anthony in my Twitch stream just said. They're crawling to the playoffs. They wish the playoffs started weeks ago. And this is what happens. This is what happens. And I think Aiden just brought a great point in my Twitch stream. He said, I think the problem with Cat last night was his defense, but the main problem was that they think he's soft, so they're putting their 6'4" guys on him while he's 7 foot. Exactly. And teams have been doing that against Cat all season long. They've been doing that all season long. So, my point being, the Knicks were not robbed by the refs. They were not robbed. They're not really they're not trying. They're not trying. They're just waiting to make it into the playoffs and call it a day. That's all they're doing. They don't care. They don't care about this. They can act like they do, but they don't. If you're settling for all those mid-range shots and threes and not driving to the lane, then yeah, you're going to lose the game. The Thunder are going to get way more free throws than you. We all know the Thunder have the refs in their pockets. We all know that. But that's not why they lost it last night. That's not why. So yeah, I guess I'll go the Thunder being my winner of the weekend. They beat the Knicks and they also beat the Bulls. Like I said, they broke this game open in the last 4 minutes. And Shai made like this pull-up two, this midi, and then he hit a pull-up dagger three, and it was over. The Thunder ran away with it at the end. They had their biggest lead of the game right at the end. I think they were up by 13 points. The Thunder are playing really, really well right now after losing to the Boston Celtics. And now that they're healthy, I think we're going to start seeing, them sit out some guys. I think Shai's going to get some rest towards the tail ends of this regular season. Or maybe not. Maybe he's just trying to stat pad his way to the MVP. I don't know. Tonight, the Thunder have the Pistons. And like I said, the Pistons are sitting out 6 out of their top 7 guys on their team. So they're going to win again. Sorry, Spurs fans. I know you guys are trying to catch up to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but they are also going to win tonight and go up 3 games on the Spurs. Unless the Spurs play tonight, which I believe they do. Yeah, they play the Bulls. Okay, so it'll probably stay at 2.5 games. So yeah, man, that is my order, ladies and gentlemen. Celtics, my number 1 winner. Pistons, my number 2 winner, I guess tied with the Toronto Raptors. And the Thunder is my number 3 winner. And then, of course, we talked about the losers of the weekend as well. They were the Miami Heat, the Orlando Magic, the Charlotte Hornets, and then us as fans. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's going to wrap up today's episode. And I know this was over an hour long, and we didn't even have like a fun segment to add on the top of this. We didn't even have that fun segment to add on top of it. Yet, here we are, and it was still a long and great episode, I think. I think it was a long and great episode overall. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's probably all I got for y'all, bro. That is all I got for y'all. I got to give my stud of the night to Jason Tatum. Last night, he had 32 points in 31 minutes. This is his first stud of the night I've ever given to Jason Tatum this season, which is awesome. Jason Tatum in 31 minutes had 32 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, almost a triple-double, almost. Plus 15 on the court, 0 turnovers. Anytime you drop 30 points with 0 turnovers, you got a high chance of being my stud of the night. Shot 5 for 10 from the 3, 12 from 23 from the field, and 3 for 5 from the free throw line. Jason Tatum is my stud of the night. Shout out Jason Tatum. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's going to do it for today's podcast. Twitch chat, be sure to stick around for just a bit. We're not going to be talking too much longer after today's podcast, but we are still live on Twitch. Be sure, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, TikTok, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, follow, all that jazz. We do this Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. I'm talking to you, Apple and Spotify viewers. I'm talking to you guys. Twitch chat, stick around. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I got nothing left to say Except for, let's have some good NBA games tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And as always, guys, thank you for watching/listening. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Love y'all. Have a beautiful day, everybody.